Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm very much okay with the delivery. So there are no questions at all. We can continue.
We can carry on. Okay, that is fine. That is fine. So, like we mentioned from yesterday, there are 4 learning outcomes that we will be looking at in this study, and I mentioned, let me quickly just recap that one. Then we can come to today's lesson. Just bear with me for a second.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, yesterday we mentioned that this is a mandatory unit. So you definitely have to strive to pass.
Yeah.
And there are 4 learning outcomes. Yeah. So yesterday we looked at the context, what procurement and purchasing is all about.
Yeah.
Today we'll be looking at the tools. Then we'll be looking at the agreements, contracts. Yeah, forming relationships with your suppliers. What should be involved. Then we will look at communication and a few other things. Yeah. So basically that is it. But it's important for us to look at the assessment criteria, because that is where you are supposed to at least be meeting them. And that is what is going to give you the marks to be able to pass.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've learned the learning outcome 1, the analyzing the different sources of value addition. Yeah, in procurement. Yeah, we've been able to establish that procurement is not like purchasing, but looking at the overall process and looking at where you can add value or bring savings. Yeah, so that's important. The sourcing process, which we've mentioned, which starts from identifying the need and going on to look for suppliers who have got it, who will be able to meet the need. So that whole procurement process is also mentioned. We also mentioned the need for policies and procedures. That if you definitely want to, create some savings, then you might have to, as a company, decide on some policies you want to put in place. And the way you implement it is by putting the procedures in place. And so we mentioned that briefly. And we also mentioned the different structures. It can either be a centralized or decentralized procurement system, whether you make it consolidated or you localize it. Okay. Yeah, so we've mentioned that. Today we'll be looking at the tools. So when we talk about the tools and the techniques for sourcing, here we'll be looking at costs and pricing. Yeah, because I mean the whole thing that we've been trying to develop is how best can we make purchasing, which we said was transactional, more strategic, which is the procurement, and how can we make it more useful to the company. And the central thing is to driving down cost and making it very efficient. So we'll be looking at cost and we'll be looking at price. Is there any difference? Yeah, we will see. And the processes of obtaining quotation. So now you have the need. How do you get quotations? Yeah, because the suppliers are far from you. How do you do that? Yeah, so we'll look at that. Then also, how do you eventually select suppliers for your project? Then we'll mention briefly the role of technology in this whole agenda of procurement. So let's quickly jump on to today's lessons, like I said. So we would Yeah, so we want to understand the application of tools. Yeah, so what are the tools, and also what sort of techniques can we use to make procurement effective? So I've always said that the learning outcome will just give you a summary, but you always have the indicative content, which gives you a bit more. So you would have to look at all these and read around them to get a deeper insight on that. So what is spend analysis, cost analysis, what is supply industry analysis, data sources, and all that, market and cost-based pricing models, value analysis, portfolio analysis, request for information, document, request for quotation document, key supplier selection criteria, total cost of ownership, what is the name? Crucial supplier criteria of selecting the suppliers. Reverse auction. All these are terms that you have to try and familiarize yourself with e-procurement systems and a whole lot of other things. So you can read around these ones in your free time. But like I said, one of the main things that we'll be looking at is cost. So we want to look at what is the difference between cost and price. Yeah, what is the difference between cost and price? Yeah, so I don't know whether without looking at it, you had any idea what costs would have been. Yeah.
Okay, so I will say price refers to the economic value of a product or a service, and then cost refers to the other other hidden economic values that are not immediately allocated to the product or service when you acquire or when you procure that product or service. For example, I'll take buying a car. The price of the car is like the surface value of the car, but the cost of the car will move beyond the surface value of the car to looking at maintenance of the car, looking at insurance of the car, looking at the road tax of the car.
The road tax, yeah.
And all other costs that has to do with the car, but that has to do with the car. So in addition to the price of the car, that will make it the actual cost of the car. But the price is just the surface value or the surface economic value of the car. That is
I think I cannot agree more than what you have said. Yeah, so it is the total cost. And I like the examples that you're giving, that the price of the car is the main unit, but there are a lot of add-ons. Yeah, a whole lot of surprises that will come once you approach somebody to buy a car. Yeah, even the cost of moving from your house to the place, you would have taken an Uber or something, and that is cost.
Yes.
So you might have to look at that. Sometimes you have to take it to an independent inspector for them to look at it again, just to be sure that everything that you have, especially if it's not a new car. So yes, so basically that is it. So that is the difference between the cost and so we are saying that the cost is the total sum involved, the total sum in all the expenditure. Yeah, but the price is the considered amount that you want to pay to the supplier, like we said. So that is the main difference. And then we also want to say that when it comes to the process of obtaining goods and services, yeah, which obviously we have to engage people outside. This is where we see the need for us to look at what cost is all about. Yeah, so we'll have to put systems in place to be able to measure the cost that we are dealing with and see how best we can make it as efficient as possible through the tools of negotiation. So we mentioned that we are looking at tools. One of the tools is to be able to have a position to negotiate very well, the skill to negotiate and be able to get the best deal out of whatever agreements you are trying to do. So you will come across what we call cost analysis, sitting down to look at the cost. And you will see, it's an element by element examination. So every unit, every element of price, every element of activity to the price of the item has the potential to add to the price of the item. You have to look at it. You have to look at it because you sit, it's somebody who is giving you the price. So what we are saying is that if the supplier tells me that it's 60 pounds, can I have any tool to be able to examine whether he's giving me a fair price? Is it reasonable? Yeah. How can I do that? And that is what cost analysis is all about. So it means that you have to go a little further, try to see if you can get anything to compare what you have on your hands. And how do you do that? Maybe you have to get another supplier to check whether the price. Maybe you have to see whether the item you are buying is the right item. Yeah, maybe it's the right item, but do I even need it at that level? I can use equally something alternative that will be cheaper. So all these comes into what we call the price analysis at this place. So what is the cost and the price analysis? What are we talking about here? We are saying that these are methods, yeah, that projects the costings for any project. Yeah, so it gives us a fair idea of how much a project is going to cost us. Yeah, so somebody sits down and try to look at all that. Price analysis look purely, like we've said already, at the unit price. Yeah. Cost analysis incorporates the reasoning for this cost. Yeah, whether it is fair, whether it is the right price. So we are saying that it incorporates the reasonable cost to the vendor of producing the item to determine if the price quoted as is fair and appropriate. Yeah, so it takes you a step further to look at that. In addition to that, when it comes to these price and cost analysis, it cuts across all these transactions. So every transaction that you are dealing with, it cuts across it. You will definitely get the price. And you will also have to try and look at the element of costing to a large extent. Yeah. Sometimes we are saying that the degree to use some of these depends on what you are dealing with. Yeah, is it a high profile project we want to do? Is it a multi-million project? Then you don't just have to just take one person's. You've made quite a big loss because you could have got it cheaper. You have to look at what is on your hands. We are saying that determination of price, how reasonable it is through price and the cost analysis is required through the whole process. Yeah. So whoever is handling it, as an officer, as a buyer, as a procurement officer, you should have the understanding that cost and price analysis should be one of the tools that you need to be able to contract for your company. In some machines, just price will be enough. And like we said, if it's not a strategic item, it's just something that, like we said, it's not a nuisance, it's not a bottleneck, but it's something that definitely you can't do without it. I would say that maybe bottleneck, because definitely you need it. So the price should be enough. Yeah, the price definitely should be enough. But there are other situations where definitely you would have to incorporate the cost analysis. So we are saying that the scope of price analysis performed and the particular techniques used would depend on whether or not cost analysis is done. Factors that you need to look at. The dollar value means that whether it's a capital intensive, this is a big deal. So we would definitely have to bring in the aspect of cost analysis. So, is this something that we want to roll it out as a tender or something because of how critical the item or how technical the item is? Yeah. So some items are so technical that you need to supply it. Yeah, because if you don't get a right supply of competition. Yeah. So if it's something that you don't need a lot of suppliers, then it's easy. But if you have to bring in a lot of competitors to make sure that you have a competitive bidding, then as subcontractor, they are interchangeable. So that's fine. So when we look at price analysis on itself, we are saying that it's the process of deciding if the asking price of a product or service is fair and reasonable without examining the specific cost and profit calculations the vendor used in arriving at that. Okay, it's a good price. How do you know it's a good price? You bought it last year. So based on that, you think that, oh, last year I bought it for £4. So with the inflation and all that is going on, £5 this year, I don't think it's a bad price. That is what you think. But somebody else will look at, fine, even last year, how did the supplier arrive at the £4? Yeah, where does he get these things from? What goes into it? Yeah. Is he buying from somewhere and giving it to me? So does it mean that he puts his cost on or what? So if you begin to ask these questions, then you are moving away from just price analysis into a process of comparing the price with known indicators. Bought it before, or a friend said this is the price. So just looking at that is what price analysis obviously looks at. So we are seeing some of examples are using the previous price that was paid, and it's easy. I paid £2. That you are having with something, a budget that you had prepared that, okay, oh, this, I think maybe this one will spend about 1.5 million on it. So if somebody comes and says, oh, 1.5 million, oh, that is exactly what we were thinking, but you have to check. Yeah, so like I said, you also can compare with other prices that other suppliers might have quoted. Yeah, so he said, but when it comes to cost analysis, this is where we are saying that you are now taking time to look at other things, other factors that goes to the cost. So we are saying that it is the element by element examination of the estimated or actual cost of the contract to determine the probable cost to the vendor. So you are not looking at the cost just to you, but you are starting from the vendor, to find out how much that will cost them for them to be able to price you at that rate. So and we are saying that the goal is to form an opinion whether the proposed costs are in line with what is reasonable economically. So cost or pricing data, which should in this. So you have to request for data. That is the basis. You can't just sit there and say, okay, I can check. How do you check? You have to request for data. We'll see that in, You can also, or you should definitely use this where price analysis is not giving you the needed results that you want. So you have to quickly draft in cost analysis. It breaks down, it's a technique, it's a tool, that you use to break down a supplier's costs and or pricing data so that you can verify each component. Materials will cost, okay, you are saying that labor is going to cost that, okay. How many hours work time do you need? That labor time do you need? Okay. And you are saying transport will cost this. Okay. So if we put all three together, it looks like your cost is going to be this. So why are you charging me this? Does it mean that you are doing 20% on your cost? Why don't you do 15? So you have to look at that with them. So basically that is it. So like we see material cost, labor cost, equipment, overheads, and all that. You have to look at that with the for the costs and the pricing and leading on to the cost price analysis. I don't know whether you want to give any contribution or if there's any question you want to ask at that stage before we go into the other supplier selection and tender.
So far it's okay. I think I don't have any question at the moment. So we can continue.
That is one of the tools that you need, to be able to drive efficiency in the thing that when you eventually identify your need, when you identify your need, how do you get quotations? When we say quotations, I don't know whether you've come across the word quotation and what your understanding is. What is a quotation?
My understanding of a quotation is I will say an enumeration, a document that specifies the product you want, the quantity and the quality, and then which is sent to a prospective supplier, asking them if they can provide you these items. So in that document, you find the quantity, or the quality, and then the price. Maybe you are ready to pay, or you are offering, which is sent to the prospective supplier. That's my understanding.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant. So you are talking about a proposal. We say it's a proposal. Something that somebody wants to propose to you. But where we don't have to mix the two is quotation usually comes from the vendor side.
Okay.
Back to you.
Okay.
Yeah. And the one that is going to go from you as the customer or the end user is, or the buyer, is the request for quotation. Okay. Or request for an offer or request for a proposal. So you would put your requirements together. At that stage, you don't have a complete information on costings and other things. Even if you have costs, it's just an estimated. Yeah, but I agree with you. You need to know what you want, the full specification of the item, the color, the dimensions, the height, the weight, and all that. Whatever whether it should come as a pair or as each. So you put all those together. So you have your quantity, you have your description of the items, you have your unit of measure that you want. Then you can even state what sort of currency you want, whatever. So you put all these together and you send it to the vendor. Then the vendor will come back to you with a proposal. And we are saying that will be his quotation. So that is what they've quoted you based on your request. This is what we can offer. Yeah. And that is where you will see that they have responded to you that, okay, you said you wanted black. Yes, we are going to supply black. You said you wanted it in pairs. Yes, we're going to supply in pairs. You said that you want the height to be this. Then they will tell you that, okay, for this particular one, we've got two sets of heights. One is 2 meters, one is 1.5 meters. So you have the option to select which one will do your job. Then this is the price. The unit price is this. So the total amount is this based on the quantity that you want. Then they will also tell you that, okay, we will charge you a little bit for parking and for crating and other things. And some people charge you for transport to you. Then if they have time, which is how long it will take for the item to be ready. So this is a document that we call a proposal, an offer that they've made to you. And it comes back to you for you to now examine it, whether it meets all that you want. Then you can conclude. So we are saying that we want to look at the main processes that are used to obtain quotations or tenders from suppliers. Yeah, I will leave the word tender. We'll come back to it. Yeah, but we are saying that a tender, okay, I think maybe we'll pick it up from here. A tender is a formal offer, yeah, or a bid to ultimately secure a contract. So they will say that we want to request for tender or request for quotations. So people are going to bring their quotations, and those are the ones that will be examined, and those who are successful will be awarded.
A quick question, please.
Go on.
The tender,
Yes.
the tender emanates from the customer, right?
The request for quotation. Yeah, the request for quotation. Yeah, emanates from the customer.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So the request for quotation or the request for you to tender, we have something we've been called the expression of interest. So they will send out requests for tender to all prospective suppliers. And the first stage in some of them, they will just put request for interest. Interested, then you have to go back to the customer to show your interest. So usually they will send a form. Yeah, then you would have to sign, complete, and send it to them. So you can be shortlisted. that you are interested to tender. Yeah.
Okay. So is it the same as the invitation to tender?
Invitation to tender. Yeah, I mean,
okay.
it's the invitation to tender.
Thank you.
It will be better than a request to tender. It's So when that is done, then you wait for the supplier to come back and to give you a proposal or an offer. Based on your request. So we are saying that the tendering process is a structured process in order to be fair and transparent, including a stringent selection process, expression of interest from bidders, like I mentioned, through to the request for the tender and the evaluation process. So it's a process that starts from where we need to get people to participate in a particular exercise regarding. In addition to that, we want to put certain things in place to make it fair. And we are also using the word stringent, which means that it's going to be competitive. So you should realize that there are other prospective suppliers also in it. So you have to prove yourself why you should be given the contract. So basically, that is what we are saying. Tender, open tenders and all that. We'll see that moment. When it comes to tenders, there are certain terms that we should be aware. As obviously, she should be right. The quantity should be right. The quality should be right. The timing, and obviously the place. We are also saying that what is an RFI, request for information? Supplier's financial position, capabilities, capacity, mission, vision, to determine the suitability to work with that organization. So it's important for you to know whoever want to bid, whoever wants to tender, have they got the capacity to do it? So you can request for information about them, and they would have to bring that to show that, okay, yes, we've done it before. We have references. We've done it for a few companies. These are the references. If you want to get in touch with them, this is the value of contracts that we've done in the past, just to show that they are up to it. Then you see that there is an RFI and RFQ. So yes. Request for information is the general one to assess whoever you want to invite. Request for quotation is what is used to obtain quotes from suppliers. And typically used for lower value procurement. So RFQs are used for lower value equipment. It's like, okay, you need stationery needed. But when it comes to big values, definitely there is a need for you to go into tender to look at that. So RFQs will obviously contain, like we mentioned, the description itself, the specification of the item, the drawings, if there is the need for any technical drawings, samples. You can even include some pictures for them to know that this is what I want. The quantities that you need, the delivery requirements. I want this one to be delivered to site. Some of them, they said, oh, you can collect from my premises, XWEX. Them will also be CFR, cost freight, and then will the CIF, cost insurance and freight. So a whole lot of input terms that need to be clear. Yeah, this is how we want it. We want it delivered to us, or when it's ready, leave it, our forwarder will collect it. Yeah, so that should be made clear. The duration of the contract. This is going to be a 1-year contract. So the person is aware, the terms and conditions, how you want to pay it. We have the right to reject it and all that. So you have to make it clear, and details of how the code should be. Then we'll tell you that all the tender will be closed on this date, and 5 days from then there will be an evaluation. 20 days there will be the declaration of those who are being shortlisted, and they'll be invited for further interviews and all that. So you have to make the timeline clear as to what you want to do. Then whoever is bidding is aware. Like I mentioned, there are several of them, open tenders, which is used where there's limited supply interest. So if a few people. Then we are saying that there are also ones that are restricted. When interest is high, so buyer needs to deselect unsuitable bidders. Very critical item we are dealing with. So we have to look at that. Negotiated tenders also there. What are the steps that are involved in a tender? So like we said, it's just like the buying process. But here we develop the tender and evaluation criteria. You do qualification of those who are interested. You receive, obviously, the tenders or the bids. Then you evaluate them and select whoever is competitive based on the evaluation or the assessment, the contract. And obviously, should be the need for you to monitor the contract execution throughout the period. A few questions that you can ask for yourself in doing this. And the process, people who are coming just to make sure that we are getting the right suppliers. So all these you can look at that. Obviously, this is also a straightforward one, the of selecting suppliers. So you evaluate. To be able to execute what you want. Very, very, very important. They are financial, whether they have the means. If you award a contract to somebody at the initial stage, it will tell you that, we don't even need money up front. We can handle it. Struggle with a few things. So can you please come to the table and maybe, so right from the onset, you should be able to look at the capacity, the capability, both technical and relational. Make sure that it's a company that is credible on all these. Another dimension is whether they even have the tools in terms of technology. Still using manual processes. So this is extremely important. Have to try and segregate or segment all the products that you have based on the profit and how risk averse it is. Yeah, so the higher the risk and the profit, how do you look at that? So they mentioned that it is important for you to keep an eye on strategic ones, the one that gives you high profit and to be quite risky if you don't have them. Yeah, so they are the ones that you definitely have to look at. The non-critical ones, yeah, you can manage them. The bottleneck, it means that it's got high risk. Yeah, sometimes the profit is low. So what you can do is that because it's got a high risk, even though it's low, you have to take advantage that when you have the opportunity, you buy enough. Yeah, because if it's not there, it will disturb you. So even though it is low, to keep stock, yeah, you cannot do without them. So these are some of the things that you should be looking at. On the selection process, the criteria, yeah, we are saying that when you are looking at selecting a supplier, the things that you should be looking at are a lot. And you should be aware of all these to be able to make the right selection. Yeah, some of them include the price. I mean, are they giving us good prices? Yeah, sometimes you come across a particular supplier and you realize that their price is always out. Yeah, it's all because they are not able to manage their cost too well. So for the same item, they are always on the higher side. So you have to check that. Are they going to give you value for money? Yeah, in terms of the business that you want to give them. Yeah, that is extremely important. What about their quality? Yeah, is it good? Fast enough? Can they support you with short intervals with their emergencies? Yeah, can they respond quickly? How flexible are they? Yeah, so that if there is an emergency, if there is a breakdown, if there's an increase, a sudden increase, a sudden surge in your customer's requirement or your production requirement, are they able to reorganize themselves and support you? So all these are very, very important factors that you should be looking at. Then we also say culture. You should know whether their values and their beliefs and behaviors align somehow with yours. And location is also important into language and all that. So you should be looking at all this while you are selecting to partner with for your projects. So we've mentioned all this. For value for money, for instance, consideration in choosing a supplier may be affordability. But cheap suppliers, however, cheap suppliers don't always represent the best value for money. Yeah. It's not only the cost, but quality. We are talking about reliability, quality. So extremely important. Financial stability. They're sufficiently strong with cash flow to sometimes even do a credit check to reassure yourself that these are the right people. Yeah, and you also have to check, like we said, are they flexible enough? Are they supportive? To place frequent small orders, flexible, help you to respond quickly to changing demands and sudden emergencies. Yeah, so all those things are important. Have they got a strong service and communication acumen? They are important in ensuring good working relationship. Yeah, so all these you have to be able to check how honest the suppliers are open. They will be able to talk about everything, their weaknesses. They will even make you aware that for us, our warehouse is not big enough. Yeah, so we cannot keep that. Yeah, than for somebody to tell, oh, yeah, we can. Then the next minute you realize that they have a small warehouse and that will be an issue. Yeah, so an example of a sector that uses this criteria. I mean, the construction, for instance, they'll look at quality, they'll look at cost, they'll look at your delivery, they'll look at relationship, whether you can help them with the long term. Because for construction, they've got projects that are going to be dealt with for 5 years.
Yeah.
That's right. So they need people who will be able to at least form relationships with them and be there, not hit and run suppliers. Yeah. Those who are financially sound, those who understand quality. Yeah. And they've got a mentality, to support them. Yeah. Having understood that, okay, cost is important, then putting a process together to be able to request for the quotations, which leads on to higher forms like tender, then looking at the supplier selection. One other tool that you need is technology. Very, very, very important. Yeah. So the role of technology in all this is extremely important. We are seeing that it saves time, and times obviously translates into cost savings. Yeah. So why do we say that? Yeah, redundancy and inefficient procurement processes results in a lot of problems when it comes to data management. Yeah, manual. What we mean is that manual way of doing things, and if you are not organized in terms of handling data, there will be a lot of problems. So a chaotic data management system will further bring problems, complicate issues like, oh, we've double paid supplier A. Yeah, because nobody has got a trace of payments that are going out. Yeah, and they can also be delays. Yeah, their invoices are sitting there and nobody is paying it, and people are calling, and now they are threatening lawsuits and all that. That I gave you 30 days and now it's 120 days. I'm taking you to court and all that. But if you've got technology, it will be able to let you know which invoices are due for payment.
It keeps you in track.
That's right. You can keep track, and saying that if you don't have a very solid technology in your process, it can even lead to an increase in the lead time. What we call lead time is when a supplier promises that something is going to be ready, it comes to you. So you say that it's got a lead time of 2 weeks. You understand that it is going to ready. Don't have a system which normally we say progress or monitor or expedite. Yeah, if you don't have a system that does that, to know that, okay, the order was issued on the 1st. So 2 weeks on the 14th, 15th. So there are people who have got systems 3 days to the time somebody in expediting department or progress department will start chasing to find out whether we are still on course for the delivery. But you can do this if you have technology. And we are saying that there are high chances of companies ending up with low quality materials when they are not able to track, the quality. Yeah, so the advantages, which we said, obviously, is efficiency and speed. Yeah. So it will increase the efficiency, the speed of the save time. Yeah, because those times where you have to type all the the requirements one by one into the Excel. Now there are systems where you can just import to the software, and it will just give you the at the press of a button to know that what are all the open orders, the orders that we have with suppliers that are coming due. I just run all of them to know that on the tenders that you've received, that it can give you a report, a summary. In that it also decreased the cycle time, the timelines. Which it's manual, you have to spend a lot of time. However, with technology, you can use online processes to do so many things. Now, some of the procurement approvals, you don't need people to have it on their desk to sign. Then it leaves somebody's desk and goes to another one there from the procurement superintendent. It goes to the procurement manager. Then it goes to the supply chain manager. Then it goes to the finance director, and then it goes to the MD and all that. There is a system that people can approve just in the system. When it comes to you, you just approve. Then it goes straight to the other person. In a very short time, it's all done, and we can generate the order. So obviously we are saying that it eliminates all the manual, complete, transparent, and helps with auditing for you to know the number of quotations that we received, the quotation that we've made the whole month. And we realized that supplier A has not won even one. What's the reason? Because always his prices are high. So you can easily run a report to show that, or they lost it because their quality or their lead time is not good. Yeah, so accuracy of data, very, very important. So we are saying that companies have that data that is manually managed at this stage doesn't really help. Yeah, so you need softwares, you need a lot of to be able to make it more efficient and accurate. Yeah. There might be several other ones that you would maybe want to go through. Yeah. It's able to get you to very organized, streamlining the processes, it reduces issues, relevant anyway, and this time of the age is extremely relevant. You can also, whether you have access to some of these books.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you got access to some of these books at all?
Yes, I have access to some of them.
Yeah. So you can have a read through, and it will give you a bit more. And there are a few more other extra reading.
Yes, I think in addition to the technology, I think the technology also helps to reduce costs in a way. In the sense that maybe an aspect of the work that is supposed to be done by labor, where someone has to be employed to do that.
Yes.
Technology can take over that aspect, and the cost of labor will be taken out.
Will be reduced. Yes. So that is a very, very important point. Yeah, that is one of the things that adds to the efficiency. Obviously, human error is there, and we are looking at reducing the waste within the chain. Yeah. So if there is a way by which we can make the system efficient, then one of the ways is to see if a particular technology will be able to do that quicker. Because if I'm getting somebody to type all this, it's going to take the person a whole day. And if I'm paying £2 an hour, it means that if the person does 10 hours, I have to pay like £20. Yeah, but if I'm able to get technology, maybe I can extremely important. Yeah, so we've tried to look at the tools. Yeah, we've tried to look at the tools. I don't know whether you can help me identify some of the tools that we've mentioned when it comes to sourcing. Tonight, we've tried to look at roughly about.
I think we spoke about spend analysis.
Yes.
Cost analysis.
Yeah.
Price analysis.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, yeah.
So some of the tools that we've tried to look at is one, managing price and cost. Yeah, so that is a very, very important tool. The skill to be able to manage price and cost, which we call the price and cost analysis. So that's one of the tools. And then we've also looked at the tool of requesting for quotation. Yeah, so you have to be able to put your request together and request. And one of the ways by which you can do it is to invite people for tender. Yeah, so that is also another tool. How do you do it? We are saying that you will have to identify them. You have to put a request together. You have to invite them to bring their codes. You have to be able to evaluate. Then eventually you select. So that is another very important tool. Then we've also said that another tool is the selection process itself. What criteria do you have to use? Yeah. So you have your request, you've invited quotations, or you've invited tenders, they've come. So how do you select? Of what basis do you select? And that is also extremely important. And we are saying that one of the very important tools that you can also use is technology. Yeah, so let's keep these four. Tenders, supplier selection tool, then obviously the tool you would use. So we would end it here. If you don't have any other questions or any contributions to add.
No, I think I'm okay. It's okay.
Okay, so